Well, they voted to kill Socrates. It's pretty shameful to send a 70-year-old man to the hemlock stand. What does Socrates have to say to the finger pointers? I am speaking now not to all of you, but only to those who have condemned me to death. And I have another thing to say to them. You think that I was convicted because I had no words of the sort which would have procured my acquittal? I mean, if I had thought fit to leave nothing undone or unsaid. Not so. The deficiency which led to my conviction was not of words, certainly not. But I had not the boldness or impudence or inclination to address you as you would have liked me to do, weeping and wailing and lamenting and saying and doing many things which you have been accustomed to hear from others, and which, as I maintain, are unworthy of me. We have seen Socrates sing this tune at many points in the Apology. He will not bend to the will of the majority at the expense of his character. Cue the Frank Sinatra My Way soundtrack. I thought at the time that I ought not to do anything common or mean when in danger, nor do I now repent of the style of my defense. I would rather die having spoken after my manner than speak in your manner and live. For neither in war nor yet at law ought I or any man to use every way of escaping death. The difficulty, my friends, is not to avoid death, but to avoid unrighteousness, for that runs faster than death. I am old and move slowly, and the slower runner has overtaken me, and my accusers are keen and quick, and the faster runner, who is unrighteousness, has overtaken them. And now I depart, hence condemned by you to suffer the penalty of death. They too go their ways, condemned by the truth, to suffer the penalty of villainy and wrong. And I must abide by my reward. Let them abide by theirs. I suppose that these things may be regarded as fated, and I think that they are well. That's an intriguing running metaphor. Unrighteousness is the fastest. Death comes in second in the race. Both Socrates and the Athenians have been passed. Both will suffer for their deeds. In Socrates' estimations, the penalty is far worse for them than him. And now Socrates waxes prophetic. And now, O men who have condemned me, I would fain prophesy to you, for I am about to die, and in the hour of death men are gifted with prophetic power. And I prophesy to you who are my murderers, that immediately after my departure, punishment far heavier than you have inflicted on me will surely await you. Me you have killed because you wanted to escape the accuser, and not to give an account of your lives. But that will not be as you suppose, far otherwise, for I say that there will be more accusers of you than there are now, accusers whom hitherto I have restrained, and as they are younger, they will be more inconsiderate with you, and you will be more offended at them. I love this next sentence. If you think that by killing men you can prevent someone from censoring your evil lives, you are mistaken. That is not a way of escape, which is either possible or honorable. The easiest and the noblest way is not to be disabling others, but to be improving yourselves. This is the prophecy which I utter before my departure to the judges who have condemned me. Socrates really believes in the power of truth and the vital necessity that individuals must get in tune with it. One imagines the friends and followers of Socrates were distraught at what they had witnessed. Socrates asked them to stay a while. He can explain the significance of this all. Socrates: Friends who would have acquitted me, I would like also to talk with you about the thing which has come to pass while the magistrates are busy, and before I go to the place at which I must die. Stay then a little, for we may as well talk with one another while there is time. You are my friends, and I should like you to show you the meaning of this event which has happened to me. O my judges, for you I may truly call judges, I should like to tell you of a wonderful circumstance. Hitherto the divine faculty of which the internal oracle is the source has constantly been in the habit of opposing me, even about trifles, if I was going to make a slip or error in any matter. And now, as you see, there has come upon me that which may be thought and is generally believed to be the last and worst evil. But the oracle made no sign of opposition, either when I was leaving my house in the morning or when I was on my way to the court or while I was speaking at anything which I was going to say. And yet I have often been stopped in the middle of a speech, but now in nothing I either said or did touching the matter in hand has the oracle opposed me. What do I take to be the explanation of this silence? I will tell you. It is an intimation that what has happened to me is a good, and that those of us who think that death is an evil are in error, for the customary sign would surely have opposed me had I been going to evil and not to good. We like to think of philosophy in terms of reason, critical thinking, etc., but it's difficult to ignore the role that intuition plays in Socrates' philosophy. He keeps coming back to this inner demon. They call it conscience, instinct, intuition, the voice of God, guardian angel, that has guided him throughout his life. Ironically, in this moment of utter deprivation, condemnation, and death, the inner censor has not spoken to him and has not held its tongue from speaking. Socrates interprets this as a sign of the ultimate goodness in this turn of events. Talk about looking on the bright side of life. The existential excrement is about to hit the fan, and Socrates has much to say on the subject of death's meaning right now. Let us reflect in another way, and we shall see that there is great reason to hope that death is a good. For one of two things, either death is a state of nothingness and utter unconsciousness, or, as men say, there is a change and migration of the soul from this world to another. So there's two possibilities. One, death nullifies you, vacuums you into nothing, never-ending sleep. Two, death carries your soul from here to another place. Maybe death is like the best night of sleep you've ever had, except you don't wake up. Socrates. Now, if you suppose that there is no consciousness but a sleep, like the sleep of him who was undisturbed even by dreams, death will be an unspeakable gain. For if a person were to select a night in which his sleep was undisturbed even by dreams, and were to compare with this the other days and nights of his life, and then were to tell us how many days and nights he had passed in the course of his life better and more pleasantly than this one, I think that any man, I will not say a private man, but even the great king will not find many such days or nights when compared with the others. Now, if death be of such a nature, I say that to die is gain, for eternity is then only a single night. What if death is migration to some address in the afterlife? Think of the company you will keep. But if death is the journey to another place, and there, as men say, all the dead abide, what good, O my friends and judges, can be greater than this? If indeed when the pilgrim arrives in the world below, he's delivered from the professors of justice in this world, and finds the true judges who are said to give judgment there, Minos and Rhadamanthus and Aeacus and Triptolemus and other sons of gods who were righteous in their own life, that pilgrimage will be worth making. What would not a man give if he might converse with Orpheus and Musaeus and Hesiod and Homer? Nay, if this be true, let me die again and again. I myself too shall have a wonderful interest in their meeting and conversing with Palamedes and Ajax, the son of Telamon, and any other ancient hero who has suffered death through an unjust judgment. And there will be no small pleasure, as I think, in comparing my sufferings with theirs. The point here is that consciousness would persist, and Socrates can keep doing the thing he loves best, discoursing in pursuit of truth. Death will bring him more interesting interlocutors, more opportunities to learn and get closer to real knowledge. It's another win. Above all, I shall then be able to continue my search into true and false knowledge, as in this world, so also in the next. And I shall find out who is wise and who pretends to be wise and is not. What would not a man give, O judges, to be able to examine the leader of the great Trojan expedition, or Odysseus, or Sisyphus, or numberless others, men and women too? What infinite delight would there be in conversing with them and asking them questions? In another world, they do not put a man to death for asking questions. Assuredly not. For besides being happier than we are, they will be immortal if what is said is true. Socrates values truth and knowledge above his life. It's pretty much that simple. It can seem an elaborate con job performed upon oneself, yet there are advantages to thinking this way. For one, you won't cower in the face of death. Your soul cannot be wounded, burned, or shamed in the face of evil. Death is seen here as an escape from troubles. To those he leaves behind, Socrates asks them to guide his sons properly. Still, I have a favor to ask of them. When my sons are grown up, I would ask you, all my friends, to punish them, and I would have you trouble them as I have troubled you if they seem to care about riches or anything more than about virtue. Or if they pretend to be something when they really are nothing, then reprove them, as I have reproved you for not caring about that for which they ought to care and thinking that they are something when they are really nothing. And if you will do this, both I and my sons will have received justice at your hands. The hour of departure has arrived, and we go our ways, I to die, and you to live. Which is better? God only knows. A memorable conclusion, wondrously open-ended. Humans don't know whether it's better to die for one's principles or to go on living in a world of compromise and capitulation. Socrates reminds us that although the knowledge may be uncertain, the choice is yours to make. So ends the Apology. I hope you enjoyed this play-by-play commentary with quotes. Next we turn to Crito, a shorter dialogue that takes up the question, should Socrates defy an unjust decision and flee Athens, or accept the decision of the court and drink the hemlock?